So friends, now we will move to the next session. First of all, I take this opportunity to welcome our guest, Dr. Dayakar V. Rao Sahab. Welcome, sir. Namaskar, Sanjay sir. So Sanjay sir from Ministry has also joined. I also take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome to him. We just had one session by Sri Hari Babu Bemka on agri loan and mudra loan. So it was about what are the kind of financial product available to us, but it is equally important to understand what are the investment opportunities available to us with respect to the opportunities for creating skills. So with that objective, we have planned one session on processing, value addition, business opportunities, and importance of skilling in millets. And to speak on that, we have invited Dr. Dayakar V. Rao Sahab from IIMR Hyderabad. So I don't think when we are speaking of something on millets, we can get a better person to speak on that. So first of all, I'm so thankful to you, sir, for accepting our invitation. And I also take this opportunity on behalf of all the participants, partner institute of this component, STRY, to and manage to welcome you to this program, sir. So it's over to you, sir. And about this program, sir, Manage is implementing for Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. One component, STRY, Skill Training of Rural Youth from Ministry. Sanjay Kelikar Sahab is coordinating that component, and we are implementing this component in partnership with Samitis and then in district level, mainly Atmas and KVKs. So every month or alternate month, we organize these kind of webinars for the stakeholders, mainly the partner institutes of this component STRY. So in that series only, it is the first program of this financial year 22-23. So this is briefly about the background of this program, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shalendra, and for all the other organizing team. And I see some of my friends on the platform. It's a very pleasant thing this morning to speak on the subject which is very close to my heart. Processing, value addition and business opportunities in millets. I just tailored this based on the value chain experience that which we built for more than a decade on this millets, especially what we see is just I want to give initially the overview of millets. When we talk about the millets, there are a small group of highly variable small seeded grass widely grown around the world for food and fodder. They are termed as Nutricereals by the Government of India, Gazette notification in 2018, where the National Millet Mission has been launched. So, along with millets, of course, buckwheat and amaranthus, which are pseudo cereals, are also included as a Nutricereals. Now, when you try to categorize them, for those who have seen, I think millets, those who are familiar, fine, but there might be people who are not so familiar, at least how they look like. The three major millets, sorghum, pearl millet, and finger millet, are the major millets. What is how they differ from the minor millets, I am going to tell you in a while. But there are minor millets like foxtail millets, proso millet, barnyard millet, little millet, brown top millet. And in addition to these millets, of course, we have a teff, ponyo, which are also grown in Africa, and of some of the other variants that are available in the northeastern states also. But standard format, what we call these are the the three are major millets and the six are the minor millets. So totally 9 millets. But the difference between these two things, I think we need to know that the major millets are naked grains, so they do not have outer seed coat. So that's what it differentiates between the minor millets. Minor millets have a seed coat which is inedible actually. So you don't need to, the implication is that you don't need to go for dehusking of these millets, major millets. They are naked grains. While when you think about processing, the small minor millets needs that outer edible portion has to be removed. So understanding them will give us better way of taking the processing forward. But also, when you talk about most of these major millets are grown in the plain regions, though they are dryland with poor soil and water environments, which I am going to speak to you. But the minor millets are grown in hilly tracts, mostly like you see that whether it is Uttarakhand or with Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and many other states where the environment is suitable, especially grown by the tribal groups. So the challenges are many with regard to the minor millets. Not much research has been accomplished in those minor millets. Now it is being taken up on a thing. Now these millets are also branded as smart foods. So why they are called as smart foods is because they are good for us in terms of nutrition, good for the planet in terms of you know that because of their climate resilience, low water carbon footprints, and good for the small farmer also because it acts as when no other crop comes up with any yield, these crops still survive and then they bring some yield as well as the fodder for their livestock population. So this they definitely these millets address rural poverty. Now, most important thing, trying to understand how this malnutrition, because that is what it is today's context, why millets need to be rediscovered. And third thing is adaptation to the climate change. So, if you are trying to understand the millet scenario in the country, what you see that these are the various states that are growing. The major states are Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and it goes, the list goes in that direction. But then, as per the third advanced estimate, the total food production in the country is estimated about 314 million tons, of which is 3 points higher than that of higher. But when you talk about this, because mostly the earlier classification says that millets are put under coarse cereals along with barley and maize. So there is a growth in the production, especially the last year there is some sort of a hiccup, but otherwise it has gone for the first time to reverse the trend from declining production to the increasing production, 18 million tons. That was a record production. But last year again, the climate has made some of the grains to come down their output, and that's resulted in about close to 16 million tons. So, but I see that it is only a temporary phenomena, and we see as more policy and other support that is coming, taking these millets to a continually increasing area, so that increasing area and resulting in increasing production also, because more new areas are that coming up in this particular millet areas, where which are high production environments are also included, especially when you talk about the new areas like the place like in coastal Andhra Pradesh, where after the rice is grown, the second crop where they are just getting into sorghum or jowar production, and the potential productivity in that particular area goes up to 9 tons per hectare, in comparison with 1 ton per hectare, the national average. So we need to understand these things, these nuances, trends in global area and production of millets is also given here to understand that, because the International Year of Millets is coming 2023 next year, only 6 months to go, and India is definitely the one which is taking it forward with the support of 70 plus countries and taking this. So there is a big challenge for us to increase the area under this thing, and Indian production has to be, because India has that moral responsibility of leading this millet movement or millet revolution in the global scenario, and we have taken our position and United Nations has agreed for that. So our aim is to take things there, but the real trump card is the nutrition value of the millets. So when you talk about the nutrition value of the millets, you can see here how quickly, in a quick way, just I want to throw this thing, because if you forget everything today, please remember this thing, because it is not just only for the academic purpose, for our personal purpose, our family health purpose also it is very neat, because what we are eating we should know that, and how it contributes to the real health and nutrition to our bodies. This particular chart shows that all the orange marks speaks about the highest content here. So all the millets are given. In addition to that, they are compared with wheat and rice. So you see that whether in terms of the major protein or in terms of the micronutrients like calcium, magnesium, zinc, and iron, or in terms of dietary fiber, in terms of B complex vitamins. So you see that one of the other millet is, for example, if you want to take calcium, it is highest in finger millet, 364 mg. When you see the same thing in wheat, it is about 10 times less. This is 10 times more compared to wheat. And rice, you can see 7.5, so 40 times. So in terms of even if you, when we are talking about malnourishment, iron, malnutrition and all those things, pearl millet contributes to highest to that. Of course, wheat is at least better, but rice is again 0.7. These are the data that is published by the National Institute of Nutrition in the Indian Food Composition Tables in 2017. These are the market samples, but once you get into the actual crop improvement or the germplasm that is available or the cultivars that are released, you find there is a lot of variability and since some of the cultivars, this for example, if you take protein in proso millet, it is the market sample shows that 12.5 grams per every 100 grams, which is quite good among all the millets itself, and when compared to rice also it is quite high, and wheat also it is higher than that. So but there are some varieties in proso millet that are being generated where it goes to 15 to 17 grams of protein. So this is what I think we are going to come up with a systematic profiling of the nutrition value of millets so that we may take things forward. Why I am just taking little more time on talking about health and nutrition is that because that becomes a real, because earlier it was the supply that was the problem, but today's context primarily demand is the problem, and in order to create demand, that 10 years ago that we took up this value chain device and try to position millets as health and nutritious cereals, and that are needed for majority of the, because National Health Family Survey shows that about 69% of our pregnant women are still under malnourished, and most of the children, lactating mother, and all other targeted groups still we are unable to tackle, and most of them are above 50% of that malnutrition, especially with regard to the iron malnutrition. So it speaks about at length, despite severe investments that we are making it. So there is a great need for us to really just bring in millets and bring in supplementary nutrition program. For that, sufficient data is needed, and we are working in that direction with the help of National Institute of Nutrition and other milk. But when you talk about the basic things, whether in terms of the blood pressure, lifestyle diseases, or like type 2 diabetes or colon cancer, or to optimize kidney, liver, and immune health. These days we are talking about immunity health because they contain immune nutrients and many other diseases that are there that can be really, these millets can do that. And these are only an indicative list, but if you talk about they are gluten free, because they are gluten free, the problem of allergic, those who are allergic to gluten can very comfortably go for that. Now it is estimated about 3% of our population are going through because this is cannot be detected so easily, but some estimate shows that. But many people are coming under this scanner of getting into the gluten. So it speaks about the potential where millets can be promoted in the areas where we can take up. And when you talk about the USP of the millets, as it is very important that they are typical dryland crops with wide crop duration window. Now there are some cultivars that can be fit into 65 days itself, with between two crops that you can bring in there, and they are low water requirement and minimal purchased inputs, but responsive to high input management too. It means that if you give one additional irrigation, then your yields are going to be doubled. So the resilience to climate change is another part which we would like to, because they are primarily C4 plants. The C4 plant photosynthetic path it takes, and then it brings in value to that by bringing the efficient use of this, that and the photosynthesis and ideal contingent crop. When all the crops fail, it can come. So sustainable future crop offers a source of food, fodder, forage, energy, and nutrition security. Now, they are termed as Nutricereals owing to high quantities of minerals, vitamins, antioxidants with high fiber. So, when you know these things, and the rich benefits, health benefits also in terms of demand side. I have already spoken on this thing, so I don't want to. But the most important thing is these crops were completely out of a consumption basket, primarily because there was lack of convenience in that. So you want to use I'm going to talk a little that, but now the technologies are available and convenient products like ready to cook, ready to eat foods are available, and they offer functional foods as well as the nutraceutical sources. So there are many constraints that are there, but I told you that non-availability of ready-to-use products was one of the reason why this. There are not many processing machines were available 10 years ago. The awareness was very poor, and there are many other stability. Shelf life is one of the other problem, and there are no processing technologies. I'm talking about 10 years ago, how this constraint and the gaps that which we took, and then we would like to take things forward for creating demand for that in the millet value chain. So millet processing technologies are established at IIMR with the help of other consortium partners, and then take things forward. So we took the lead in this regard. There are other people, partners like CFTRA and others were also there. But now bringing all the technologies onto the plate, that is the contribution from IIMR. So preparing a raw grain for secondary processing, that is very, very vital, especially in case of until and unless you properly grade, clean and destone it. So taking for the secondary processing becomes very difficult. So that's the reason this primary processing at the farm gate level we are advocating and trying to bring out value to the farmers also. So when you are trying to talk about secondary processing, flaking, now earlier it was only that is available was the flour, atta. So what with the atta making a, that roti has been a very difficult proposition because it doesn't contain gluten, which imparts the real binding agent. But in the absence of that, people used to add some sort of a hot water and make a chapati out of it. So today's context, people don't have time, and both men and women are working in that context. So it went out of fashion. People don't want to eat anymore. Yeah, at that point of time that we brought out these various technologies, processing technologies into wake. Because otherwise what happens is that they become, because most of rice and wheat technologies are primarily worked out by most of the international agencies and institutions. So we had a very less job only in adopting those technologies. In case of millets, nobody, because we were the leaders and nobody bothered to that. And our green revolution, we were concentrating on food security, not on nutrition security. So we were propagating rice and wheat because the need was so great that the quantity at that time. So at the cost of our millets, and most of our millets went out of the even the cultivation land also. So flaking, puffing, now you can have all this, the feel of that, thanks to IMR-led consortium, which we are bringing out the variety of the products in such a way so that but through these things we can bring in composite blends, instant mixes, all the ready to eat, ready to consume, so that the consumer is provided various options that he need not eat that inconvenient roti or chapati. Now we have come, the latest news is that we have come out with some technology where was a small machine like that where the roti can be made even with the cold water. You don't need the hot water also. So things are emerging, but at one point of time that was a big constraint. Now, why processing, milling? It is a process of separating the bran and germ from a starchy endosperm so that the endosperm can be ground into different particles. Now, the basic thing we need to understand, this milling has to happen. In case of paddy, we see that the husk and the brown rice, how it can be completely differentiated, and that is the technology. So food grains, they're not ready to eat commodities. The outer hulls has to be removed, and so while doing this processing, we need to preserve that alluron layer. See this pericarp, tegmen, these are the things that are put here. All these three constitute bran. So we need to do those things, processing to really go up to the level of tegmen, up to the level of pericarp. But alluvial layer is the lowest, that has to be taken care, where the minerals and some of the protein and fat and other things are also present in that. So there are different types of embryos. I don't want to deal with this, but the embryo lies in the bottom of that. So endosperm is the main portion where we try to make mill them and try to bring in. See, this is what was lacking in us, trying to bring in particle size, different particle size. If you can make it, you can make for, if you want to, if you make suji out of this millets, it's so convenient to make idli rava. वो चपाती बनाना कितना मुश्किल है, इसमें वो जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. Then medium semolina, you can go for upma. And if it is dalia, if you want to make dalia, the coarse semolina can be taken care. So this is good. Can we bring out the machinery where different particle size things can become? So we did that particular exercise, and we brought out the milling process into both for major millets and minor millets. In minor millets, our strategy is try to make them as a rice like paddy like rice, so that they may be dehulled and milled and consumed. Because the grain size is so small, you don't need to really go for further milling to a powder level and all those things. Suji level perhaps one can go. So pre-cloning, destoner come, grader comes, aspirator. Why I'm just showing these things, sir? Because you need to have a basic knowledge about when you are talking about the business opportunities or skilling and all that. Now operating these machines, which are of indigenous nature, is again a skill. Skill is required, and that is what the training capacity building exercise that we do that. And so that this can be these skills can be imparted to the people, those who are at the ground level workers. Maybe it is the farmer himself, or it is when it goes to the Anganwadi and other things. If they want to do that, those are SHG groups, self-help groups, they can operate farm level farm gate value addition, that which we can do that. So in case of minor millets, you can see that once the whole grain is there, after you, in case of proso millet, after it is dehulled, how the rice looks like. In case of little millet, how the whole grain looks and how the rice is there. So they making, see, once you do that processing, primary processing, after removing the hull, the shelf life is going to be affected. So you need to know how to really preserve that particular shelf life and what is the things that are needed. So all the skills and the knowledge that is needed has to happen. So the pilot scale, primary processing of the small scale could make a thing. So, but there are new emerging things, because MSMEs and others who are emerging, and also startups and the big people, there is no machinery that are there. So at Indian Institute of Millet Research, we have established a common facility center with a high throughput, so that entire thing can go as in a mechanical, as a continuous process, so that less of the hands-on thing, less human labor involvement. So the size reduction, there are many types of technologies that one can think of. So one has to know all the nuances of this when they want to really just acquire the information, so that they can choose which is the best one. Now this is chakki mill, which is a traditional thing normally, but it has stone grinders which grind the grains into fine products. Today we have a different type of configuration of fabricated stone grinder, so that the material cannot be passed on to the final product. So this milling process produces more of the damaged starch degradation. This is very important, because until and until starch that is in the current form of in the grain has to be degraded, so that increasing the digestibility, so that we can also make them suitable for children and elderly persons. So this is what Chakki mill has that, and hammer mill is another one. So I just don't want to get into too much of the technical aspect, but see this producing the machines itself is a thing. There are very few people who can fabricate these machines in the country with regard to the millets. So that could be a business opportunity. Hardly you will find one dozen fabricators in the entire country, which is very highly inadequate, because people want to really go through the programs, government support programs. They will have to have a larger scale. So this another thing is hammer millet. Here, size reduction happens when the millet grains are impacted by the hammers. So, milled products pass through the sieves that you are seeing that, and of different size, and are expelled at the outlet. So, this machine is suitable for making different particle size of semolina. But most important thing, these grains are little coarser than wheat and rice. That's the reason this is the most robust machine that one can think of. Similarly, roller floor mill, which is extensively used in case of wheat, can also be used, and we have put up this machinery at our end. Pin mill is another one. It doesn't require, see, these mills are capable of very fine grinding without the need for screens also. It provides uniform product size. So what is the product that you are going to bring? Is it a suji, or is it a thing that is what? Now the ball mill is advanced technology with the nanotechnology. This deals with the synthesis of the nanoparticle. These mills are equipped with the grinding media. So these are things, but not really practiced so far in the millets. But one can also see the application. Now for batch process, there is a two process. One is batch and second one is continuous process. So some of this milling machinery that is there, pulverizer, hammer mill, sifter, and there is a pilot scale milling line is also being instituted at Indian Institute of Millet Research. So that, and this is the scaled up machinery where you find three types of technologies, all three: integrated hammer, checky, and roller floor mill. So one can go whenever, if they want only atta type of thing, it is good that they go for a checky type. If they want to go for hammer mill, you will get all the products like suji is of various size. So we can have a choice. Now today's context, even the companies should be given a very optimized choice so that they can take a. Now secondary processing, planetary mix. This is for baking technology. Baking technology for making biscuits and other things. The primary things that are required for you is that for a small scale industry, planetary mixer and a dropping machine or cookies cutting machine, and the oven. Oven has to be little rotary type of thing. And but baking technology is, also has something like muffins, cupcakes or muffins, what we call. That can also be produced. 100% sorghum can be used for this thing. Now, when you talk about the other things, something like a Nutribar, sheeting machine, bar grinder, all those things can be now are available technologies for millet processing. Secondary processing technologies, again, Muruku, that represents how you can remove the oil squeezer also. Now, this is one of the important technology where the rearranging of molecules of starch and protein takes place, and the increased digestibility and the shelf life also goes up to 6 months. Those who are interested to get into an export market, I think this is one of the best technology one can think of in terms of the product shelf life, in terms of the product taste and other organoleptic characters, and as well as the economy of the product. And then when it comes to hot extrusion, this is the previous one is a cold extrusion where you have only a single screw. Here you can see in this machine two screws. So double screw extruder helps in making the ready to cook product, ready to eat products. Whereas the cold extrusion products are ready to cook products. Here ready to eat. So we have come out with a lot of extruded snacks, flakes, extenders. So this hot extrusion takes us and we are getting into new plant-based meats also. Now, secondary processing technologies, you can see that roller flaker pilot scale, where the flakes, just like corn flakes that you can make for the various millet flakes also. This is another beautiful technology, what we call as a grain expansion technology, where the grain, this is not like popping. Popping is different. Popcorns, what we call. Here it is popped sorghum is different from puffed sorghum. Here the temperature, see the grain expands to 3 to 4 times of the original size, and it will not burst. There it will burst. So here the nutrient retention will be better and the taste is quite good. Secondary processing lines that are established at the Indian Institute of Millet Research as a common facility center for this established for the sake of startup companies and MSMEs who can avail these things, because no such thing is available anywhere in the globe, entire world. So I can challenge this statement with the responsibility. I am making this statement so that people can avail this facility and then take things forward. Now, emerging business opportunity for startups or any other things. So we have a Nutrihub Technology Business Incubator where we take up this business incubation and help MSMEs and startups for, and also we serve our farming community who are our primary thing. So at inputs, farm gate, aggregation and procurement, there is a need for quality seeds. So that could be one important area, because normal crop grown, you may not get so much quality. See, if the normal seed that is available for in the market, it is about for 20 rupees, then the price of the seed which is used for sowing, that goes up to 80 to 100 rupees. So there's a big market there. But in addition to that, farm gate aggregation, these are all small farmers who are going to having a half acre, 1 acre. There should be some sort of, if you are trying to think about commercial opportunity, you need to aggregate. So there are some startup companies. I just listed some of the success stories from the startup, so that these people can provide the bulking and aggregation and refining the product and sell it, value add it and create the market. Now, when it comes to the input side also, there is a huge marketing, and I don't need to tell much. Directly supply inputs to the farmers and buy back from ensuring the organic products. That is 24 mantra. You are all aware they are doing this thing, trying to farm equipment. This again, there are something like some of the few manufacturers list which we have given as a startup stories. So this is one area where people can think about harvesters, weeders. So fabricating machinery with some little bit of engineering background should take you a long way. Now the pooling and aggregation I have already told you. ITC were doing that warehousing facility. Now this is very important thing. There is one WareHub which is also already a startup company which is offering to the farmers, and building FPOs and farmers interest groups, their infrastructure with the help of FPO policy and other. So this will cater to the needs of storage needs, especially after the post harvest. Now, the farm gate processing is another opportunity. I told you the machinery that is there, post harvest thing. This is very highly useful thing, because farmers are realizing a very less share in the end product being sold at 5 to times the price. So big food processor needs supply of various ingredients in bulk quantities. So aggregate, because you want to take, earlier these crops, millets were only domestically produced for their own consumption. So now today's context, they'll have to grow for the urban market. They'll have to go for many nutrition markets, health and wellness and all this. So the context is changing. So we need to take things. So if you want to make a proper supply chain, bulking is needed, and then subsequent farm production. Because any industry that is started, it has to run for 12 months. So we need to pool up all our resources to take these things and convert the domestic crop to a commercial crop. Now, machinery fabrication, I have already told. Some players are doing it, but they are not sufficient. This could be it requires a special skill as your mechanical background or diploma in that and all that. These are not rocket science-based technologies, but they require some sort of minimum expertise that can take it and make it affordable to the clientele. Now, ready to eat products, I have told you, there is one company, Health Sutra, Melanova, M. There are several other companies that are coming. They market their product on Amazon, Flipkart, and Big Basket also. In fact, people are looking for foods with taste, health, and convenience. So, there are manufacturing and marketing of novel products like cookies, puffs, extruded snacks, chocolates, bakery products through retail chains and e-commerce. Now, for foods also, need for ready to cook foods, because people are so instantaneously, they don't have time, or even the flight traveling also. Add some water to that and then take the things and quickly consuming that. So there are also beverages that have come up, like you see that Soulful now, which is acquired by Tata, they are into this drinking, so ready to drink mixes. So there are many success story in this sector also. When you talk about need for buy a baby or infant foods or models that are existing, so we can go through their mixes and then come out with something concrete. And running restaurants with various recipes is also another opportunity one can think of. There are exclusive millet-based restaurants like Ahobilan Foods, Millet Marvels, Rashmi, Sweda. All these people are catering to this, and many more are coming up in various parts of the country. At least in Bangalore, also I know that. In Chennai, also I know that, and now in Delhi also. So functional foods is another forte where Health Basket, what I portrayed here, they are offering a range of combination with millet plus traditional ingredient through its own e-commerce platform. So, but still we can see there is a greater opportunity working there. Plant-based protein. This is again another opportunity where we can think of that some people who are doing vegan foods, here the millets also going to play a major role in bringing the plant-based meat. Nutraceutical is another area where, which because millets are fully with phytonutrients and antioxidants, so there is a scope for us to extract those things and use for highly value-added products. There are something analog foods also that are coming up, analog rice, meat, milk, and so we are looking into those areas also, and supporting some startups to work on that. Nano foods, bran oil extraction. The little millet has about 15% of their bran contains the oil. So we are just studying the profiling of that particular little millet thing, fatty acid profile, and try to come out with something else. So beer production, beer can be made out of millets. African nations are knowing how to extract beer from sorghum especially. Now, finger millet has a good malting capabilities. That also is another opportunity. So we are working intensively so that this micro breweries can also be established, and then this craft beer can be made available. Some startups are also engaged and are being funded for that. Now, when you talk about the non-food uses, biofuel from the stocks, like sweet sorghum is another variety where the bioethanol can be produced. Now, things are put in a proper perspective. With 3 months of crop duration, it can come out with quite a good of alcohol, and then with a high bricks, so that is needed for establishing their bioethanol capabilities. Starch production. Again, starch is another thing, people are using it and trying to make a potable alcohol out of it, or else they also use for starch, so that for the food and non-food industries they can be using. And in case of animal feed also, they are extensively used when the grain is drenched in the with the rain. At the time of the harvest, the grain quality is disturbed, so that is the time when they will divert this food that is used in the consumer basket to the other things. So promotion and awareness, there are so many agencies who are now working on this. I think millets next year it is going to come. There are huge opportunities for event managements and promotional activities where many people can think, if they are skilled in these areas, they can take up this program, and they could be a very, very valuable support both in urban as well as the rural areas also. Now, captive and mass markets. Now, midday meal, government feeding programs, chefs communities, nutrition evangelists, restaurant chain, women and child department programs. All these are definitely an opportunity where the millets are being targeted. So we can leverage those platforms to do that. And if somebody is interested in building a capacity building programs or training programs, I think it's a huge market. People are really lacking that knowledge on that. So we at IIMR, we conduct several things, but we alone are not sufficient. We manage is doing it in a big way whenever the national and international programs. But I think we need to sensitize that some of them can be startups in organizing only training programs, very specialized training. And incubation also we do that here at Indian Institute of Millet Research. We have established Nutrihub Technology Business Incubator with an architecture of DST, RKVY and ICR's agribusiness fund support, and more than 200 support startups, and close to now about 6.6 crores of money has been sanctioned for the startups. So just can you think about 200, 300 startups are being supported to take the things, and private investment opportunities. So there are people who are getting into like Platforma and many other angels. So our core programs too, I would like to tell you that N-Grain, it's a seed support funding, and NEST is a agri entrepreneurship program. So one program for the early stage startups. At least one minimum viable product in the market for at least 1 year. So training we provide on technology and business establishment, entire value chain, and fund support up to 25 lakhs is given to them. Next is another one who are aspiring with a business idea, innovative business idea. So we train them on technology and business establishment and support up to maximum of 5 lakhs. So our impact has been visible with regard to this thing, and trying to provide a lot of grant. This is a little older figure, but it is much beyond that. So it is reaching to very thin. So I would like to just conclude saying that this skilling is a very important thing for us, knowing the business opportunities where we can really make use of our efforts and try to use this millet value addition, which is a big opportunity. And in this process, I think the millet promotion takes place in much more vigorous way. So this particular day, where special webinar is conducted by the manager, I think I should congratulate them, because taking our vision forward, this many such programs must be organized so that people may be sensitized. Many of them, they do not know what to do, how to go about with the millets. So that sort of an expertise is available at Nutrihub Center of Excellence at IIMR. So I'd like to conclude my presentation. Thank you once again, Shalinder.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for making such a comprehensive presentation and making us understand the importance of millets, mainly when the focus is on nutritional security, because food security is important for a country like India. But now in recent past, we have realized that government is speaking about nutritional security, and you also made us understand that what are the different primary processing and secondary processing that can be performed on millets, and then different kind of business opportunities and importance of skilling in millets. So thank you very much, sir. Now this session is open for discussion, taking questions. So if participants are having any questions, I will request them to please either they can directly ask sir, or they can also share questions in the chat box. Sir, but before we go to the participants, sir, when you were introducing this concept, you shared one slide about a worldwide area under millets. So I realized that the area at world level is continuously coming down, sir. Though in recent past we are speaking about the importance of millets, mainly from the nutrition point of view, but still we realize first thing that the area is coming down, and second thing is, sir, area is in a zigzag manner. Each year it has gone up, next year it has gone down, again gone up. So can you just throw some light on that, sir?
So, sir, you are right. When you try to connect that, actually, first of all, in prima facie, getting a data on a global area, we could really just had to make a lot of efforts into try to bring. Now, the very definition of millets, the world global wide, they will consider sorghum as not as a millet. And they will consider sorghum and millet. They put it like that instead of including sorghum as that. So we are saying the nomenclature is also a confusing thing. So when you take all those things, we try to consolidate all the pictures and provide that. And total millets area is about 138 to 9 of 1,000 hectares, and production is about 172. So it's a 1248 kgs per hectare is the annual thing. So this is all fine, but year on year, you see that when you see what is in 1991, it is better than today's. Today we are better than that. So there might be some peaks here and there. One has to really make a big analysis of what happened, because this is an aggregate of a total thing. Another important aspect I want to bring it to your notice is that world over, millets are grown for fodder purposes. So we have clubbed those things, fodder as well as the food types put together. So that's the reason that this figure seems to be little aberrations and all that. And this includes the climatic changes and the demand supply aspects, and without any government support, they're all on their own. So fodder demand might be a continuous thing, but the food demand may not be. So when you club the things, these things, the exact picture will not give you. We will come out with a very separated thing, trying to delineate some of the food consuming countries like African nations, India, Southeast Asia put together, and then perhaps we will get a proper picture. But otherwise, this gives a little bit of confusion only. I hope I made a very valid point. One is data availability, and second thing is the nomenclature. Third thing is food and fodder types.
Okay.
So this we are addressing this as you have got the right point. But let us be very honest in confessing that these are the three continents: Indian subcontinent, African subcontinent, and Far Eastern countries, something like China, little bit are consuming it. Otherwise, the whole of the America, Australia, Europe, and all those things, primarily they are grown for the grain for the fodder. The type of the millets they grow also are fodder types, feed grain types, not the food types. So we have superior types in India, in Africa, but
Yeah,
the
thank
processing
you.
is a problem.
Thank you. So I'll request the participants if they have any questions. Sir, one of the participant has asked what is the procedure to take training at IIMR, and we did take training on. Yeah, so that's the question, sir. How somebody, if they are interested, can take a training at IIMR?
Okay. See, there is I think we have regular programs. Most of the programs, they come from the state governments. Most of the programs, they come from the state governments, and the minimum batch size has to be around 30 people. So then we come up that, but there are some private training programs that are being conducted. But if you want to know about the value addition, there is every month we have, and the last Saturday, ignition program, startup ignition programs. That gives an overview of entire thing, millet, in one day. We cover that. It is a paid program. And there is another program if somebody wants to know how to cook with millets. That also once in a month we have that program. These two programs are ongoing programs, but there are other state government sponsored programs. There are other public sector, private sector sponsored programs. Now we are taking up bigger programs with CBC also. That's what Kalikar, Joint Director Extension, we were discussing about in CBC, Capacity Building Commission in Delhi, so that we will also put up a segment there. But that particular training is for the higher officials who are the decision makers, who can bring in a lot of things across the state governments also.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And one more question is, sir, one of the participant has asked that some scientists institute recommend 100 grams of millet consumption per day. Though based on traditional understanding, some people in earlier days used to consume more than that. So basically, he just want to know what is the ideal diet in terms of grams per day.
The nutrition science says that you need to have a diversified diet. Unfortunately, that particular definition is not followed by us Either we will go either before pre-independence, mostly only millets, or post-independence after food security came, rice, wheat. So yeah, this is all need to be corrected. That's the reason today we are the diabetic capital. We have a lot of lifestyle diseases. We are unable to do things properly. See, traditional people, our people are very strong. They are more sturdy and all those things. But you see in their diet, you can see there is diversity also. So that diversity is important. So National Institute of Nutrition has come up with a prescription saying that you can go up to 260 out of 260 grams of cereals intake per day. You can add up to 90 to 100 grams of millets to that, so that you can bring diversity. And in addition to that carbohydrates, many micronutrients can and other benefits of the millets can be passed on to individual.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So friends, any other question? So otherwise, sir, I'll just express my thanks to you because I understand parallelly some other meeting is also going on. So I'll not push you any further. But before you leave, I just want to express my thanks, my gratitude on behalf of all the participants and all the partner institute, summities, Atmas, KVKs, and of course managed. Thanks to you, sir, for participating and making us understand different aspects of millet and how important millets are in present time when focus is on nutritional security and what are the kind of business opportunities available when we are speaking about millets. Thank you very much, sir. Sanjay ji, concluding remarks.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. So I'm thanks to Shailendraji and manage that again after 2 to 3 months gap, we have again arranged a webinar on skill training of rural youth. And the new thing is that you have invited 2 guests. Due to other meetings, I could not hear full time, but I'm very happy that HDFC Bank has taken initiative in agri loan and rural development sectors. I'm very thankful to Hari Babuji and Sri Dayakar Raoji. Dayakar Raoji is now with us for the capacity building program of officers and all the ministry level staff. So during this STRY program, Shailendraji has taken a good initiative. I will not take much more time to you. Already time has been for 2 hours. Time has been finished. So I'm very happy that 2 guest speakers have given much more new things regarding the development nutritional value of millets, health potential of the millet, then constraints in millet production. I'm thankful to Dr. Dayakar Raoji that Indian Institute of Millet Research is now in coordination of Capacity Building Commission and Ministry of Agriculture. Will in hand to hand we will go for the capacity building of our staff and officers of the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your concluding remark. And before we conclude, I just want to express my thanks to all the participants because means it was really great feeling to see the kind of participation. I understand now around 60 participants are there, but at the start some 90 participants were there. So I just want to express my thanks to the summities, mainly the directors and the STRY nodal officers for taking the entire process so seriously. I'm also thankful to all the training institutes, whether it's KVK, Atmas or farmers training centers for their participation. And of course, both the speakers, guest speakers, Sri Hari Babu from SDFC and Dr. B. Dayakar Rao from IIMR. And I am also thankful to Sanjay Kelikarji for their participation because that's also bring the right kind of seriousness to these kind of programs. And I'm also thankful to DG sir because he is always there to encourage us, guide us, and how we can create better impact when we are thinking of organizing a program like this. So thank you, each one of you. With that, we will conclude this session. And as is the practice, we will try to edit one single video or maybe two separate videos out of this interaction, and we'll share through the STRY web page. Thank you very much.